I am a Rwandan, the land of 1,000 hills. I loved Rwanda. I loved its people, the culture, dance, language, and the appearance is what makes me so proud. Being an African is an awesome thing. I wouldn't wish to be any other person.
I hope everyone could hear that time. Inside stories lies transformational power. Power that moves the invisible us. Power that stirs our emotions to experience the experiences of others. Stories allow us to imagine and live momentarily the lives of others, and thereafter set a different course and perspective for the life we seek to live. These words, written by Emmanuel in one of his countless journals, opened Emmanuel's My Story in June 2012. As he told us, he survived for a reason. Perhaps to meet you. Perhaps to create opportunities like this one. Where possible, I will use Emmanuel's own words in telling his story, as Emmanuel's words were always more precise, more compelling than my own. His name was Emmanuel Reed Manirakiza, born one day in 1990 something, probably 91 or 92. Shortly after he was born, the crust of the earth opened up to drink the blood of the innocents and swallow the bodies of the blameless. During those bloody 100 days in 1994, Emma lost his parents, his aunts, his uncles, his siblings. But with the help of his sister Patricia, he survived. I lived under a bridge, or in a tent, or in an animal's den. I could kill a snake, find water in the roots of a plant, and survive machine gun fire. But I had never entered a house with a cement floor. He was brought to an orphanage at age 9. It was his first time entering a classroom. But once he got to school and learned what school was, he got to work. He was the top 10 of his grade 6 national examinations, and that honor earned Emmanuel a prize of 180,000 Rwandan francs, approximately $300. He used it to buy his older sister Patricia a small house and some goats, for she had saved his life as a young boy. Inside Sunrise School and outside, young Emmanuel was always on the hustle. He worked jobs in the summers and holidays, a night guard for a gas station, then a sales assistant. He tutored younger children and orphans. And as he gained confidence, he would try anything and take every opportunity to make his life better. He discovered one of his passions for writing and even started publishing stories in the national newspaper. A poem he wrote and recited on Genocide Commemoration Day to an audience of over 2,000 people was so stirring that it was replayed on the radio. Emmanuel became a small celebrity among the children of Rwanda. He caught the attention of people who thought he should go to a brand new school called ALA. But after his admission, he struggled to obtain a passport. His country nearly rejected him for not having identity papers. He required the intervention of diplomats and ministers in government. And so he journaled, writing, "Your success or failure in life depends on you and what you are doing with life today, but not what life has done to you in the past." On September 4th, 2010, Emmanuel flew to South Africa to attend the African Leadership Academy with some of the smartest young students from all over Africa. After graduating from ALA, he returned home, looking forward to his move to the University of Rochester. He had big plans, but he tragically passed on July 15th, 2012. He drowned in a hotel swimming pool while trying to teach himself how to swim. A friend of mine, Christopher Gergen, wrote a book called Life Entrepreneurs. Gergen writes, a new generation of life entrepreneurs is emerging. People who apply their vision, talents, creativity, and energy not only to their work, but to their entire lives, changing the world for themselves and those around them. For me, Emmanuel is really the model of a life entrepreneur. In his approach to life, to work, to his own development. He was truly one of the best entrepreneurs I've ever met. And in our short time together, he helped solidify a set of powerful lessons for me on my own entrepreneurial journey. And so I'm excited to share some of those lessons with you. So the first time I met Emmanuel was in person in the ALA dining hall on his second or third day on campus. Mr. Bradford, he said, you are an entrepreneur. Have you read Jim Collins? He says, make sure you have the right people on the bus. Do you have the right people on the bus at ALA? I looked at him astounded and puzzled. For those of you who don't know, the book he's referencing, Good to Great, was sort of a classic of management literature in the early 2000s. It was not exactly the kind of book that most ALA students have read in their curriculum or their private personal reading time. I asked him, what else do you like to read? He said, Good to Great is amazing, but I also like Danielle Steel. For those of you who don't know, Danielle Steel is a romance novelist. I said, Emmanuel, how do you find such interesting taste in novels? I asked, he said. After work in the summers, Emmanuel would go sit by the arrivals hall in the evenings at the Kigali International Airport, and he would welcome international visitors to his fine country, which he loved so very much. He would politely ask whether they had read any books on their trip and had finished them, and whether they might be willing to share those books with him. And not surprisingly, they shared a mix of management literature and romance novels. And so that became the Manirakiza canon. I asked, he said. A second great aphorism emerged during one of ALA's classic email exchanges. So the background to this email exchange is that the ALA laundry in the dormitory was coin operated. The machines required a 2 Rand coin to operate, and 2 Rand coins apparently were in short supply. One night at 11:24 p.m., an email came to all ALA students from Emmanuel Manirakiza. Are 2 Rand coins scarce? No, not anymore. Dear all, I have the pleasure to announce to you that the issue of scarcity of 2 Rand coins is no more. I am selling 2 Rand coins. All you need is 3 Rand for 1 2 Rand coin. That means 2 2 Rand coins is worth 6 Rands. If you ever need them, find me anywhere. Quad, dining, library, anywhere. And then, at the sales pitch in red, save your time, dry your cloth, and avoid stress. No chasing coins anymore. Now you know the source. Emmanuel Reed Manirakiza, founder and CEO, Aroma Emporium. As you can imagine, this provoked a response from none other than the legendary Suhail Wardi, who within 20 minutes wrote back, hello, Emmanuel, are you serious? I mean, selling 2 Rand coins? 2 Rands is worth 2 Rands, not 3. It is true that at ALA 2 Rand coins have an intrinsic value higher than 2 Rands itself, but I still believe that making money out of money is wrong. That is my personal opinion. Anyways, from now on, I will do my best to always have a stack of 2 Rand coins available. To start it off, I have 12 2 Rand coins. No one will get more than 2. And on and on. And 20 minutes later came the response from Emmanuel. Good. Now the problem is solved. Good ideas give birth to greater ideas, and they solve problems so quick with less cost. Suhail, I am happy. Round of applause to Suhail. Good ideas give birth to greater ideas. As Emmanuel said in Uphill Climb, you have heard people say to live every day as though it is your last day. And throughout his childhood, it was the only thing to do. He took care of that present day and left the next day to take care of itself. And when the next day came, he did the same. As a student, Emmanuel rarely worried. He always planned, focusing on the work that needed to be done today and recognizing that tomorrow would take care of itself. As he said, you can't reap from worrying. Emmanuel knew that worrying expended energy, caused him to spin out of control, caused paralysis. Worrying is not proactive. You can't reap from worrying. Emmanuel really loved his EL class at ALA. He loved the team challenges like this one, where you can see he's at the front of his group. The student enterprise he built was called Aroma Emporium. It's now permanently embedded in the residence as Emmanuel's Emporium. It was financially one of the most successful SEPs in ALA's history, but it didn't start that way. The first term was a struggle. Aroma made only 92 Rand of profit, but the team learned quickly from its mistakes. As Emmanuel said, they learned business strategies and developed customer-oriented services that would allow them to track their customers. They created a suggestion box to gather information on what students wanted. Aroma now enjoys financial prosperity as of the Leadership Symposium on the day of graduation, with its worth at 7,062 Rand. Aroma paid off all of its loans. They provided monthly remuneration to all of its employees. They had the resources to explore new ventures and cash in their bank account. As he told us at the Leadership Symposium on graduation day, we learn most through practice. But how does one learn through practice? If you went to Emmanuel's room, you found piles of journals. He began journaling in primary school, and he journaled every day. His journals were filled with scripture, reflections, perspectives. He hoped to one day publish his journals into a book. Perhaps that will still happen. As Aroma Emporium struggled, he journaled. When he had conflict with his classmates and teammates, he journaled. When he did not do well on an exam or a paper, he journaled. Emmanuel would use his reflections to plan a path forward, to get better, to visualize the future. Many of his journals, and I had a chance to read some of his ALA journals at his Rwanda memorial service, they read a little bit like a whoop. When his country nearly rejected him and prevented him from coming to ALA, he wrote, "Emmanuel, do not allow yourself to fall into the trap of justifying why you cannot be a success. You owe no one an explanation of why you will not achieve your goals. Your successes or failures in life depend on you and what you are doing today, but not what life has done to you in the past." Emmanuel, I asked, where do you come up with these phrases that always surprise me? I wrote in my journal, he said. Now you might be wondering what Emmanuel and his Aroma Emporium team, what did they do with that 7,000 Rand from Aroma Emporium? What did Emmanuel do with the money he hustled from campus jobs and 2 Rand coins? It's fashionable these days to disavow capitalism. The unfettered capitalist system, the crony capitalist system that sees the levers of government controlled too often by those who have the capital and the advantage, must be reeled in. But Emmanuel believed ever so passionately in the best forms of capitalism. The kind of capitalism that powers creation and lifts others out of poverty. He used capitalism to align interests, to create jobs, to share. I remember Boubacar Diallo, one of his best friends on campus, telling me that one thing about Emmanuel is that he really loves money. But that wasn't really it. Emmanuel loved what money, the reward for his ingenuity and effort, could do for others. I once asked Emmanuel what he was going to do with all the money he made from Aroma Emporium. He came to ALA with one small suitcase. He left 2 years later with one small suitcase and a fairly big book bag. But he also left with over 1,000 US dollars in crisp $100 bills, changed at the bank, carefully saved over those 2 years, which he brought home to Rwanda when he graduated. Back in Rwanda, he got to work. That summer, he replaced the shack he built for Patricia with a brick home and a tin roof. He brought her more goats and chickens for the farm she ran on her little parcel. Patricia was able to employ others and earn an income. He saved the rest for Amuzi, his new venture, for which he sought the advice of me and others who are on this call and have dialed in from across the world. Amuzi would help other young people in Rwanda learn to be entrepreneurs. Amuzi would help other people harness the energy and imagine money not as an end, but the way Emmanuel saw it. Money is a tool. In battles and in house competitions, Emmanuel dug deep. He was small, but he was tough in every way. As he told us on that June assembly in his My Story.
As I think, I would like to leave with the balance of if you don't hear anything else from what I say, here is one thing. When you face a great challenge and you're being blown by wind, caused by waves or distortion, remember this one moment that happened.
Tough times make tough minds. I think about the power of this statement a great deal. All of us face tough times, no matter the circumstances from which we come. You do not need to be a refugee to fall into traps of despair. You need not be penniless to feel downtrodden. You need not be an orphan to believe there is no hope. All of us face times when going gets tough and we wonder if we should give up. These are human experiences. But when we recognize that we are going through a tough time, perhaps we can embrace it. Perhaps we could tell ourselves, as Nietzsche said, what does not kill me makes me stronger. 7 years after he passed, scientists prove that tough times make tough minds indeed. I've told you that Emmanuel was one of my greatest teachers. What he told me and left for all of us in his writings solidified much of my own understanding of what makes a good life entrepreneur, what makes any entrepreneur. His lessons have rung true throughout the development of ALA. When we opened ALA, I was about the age Emmanuel would be now. How I wish I would have clearly understood some of these ideas then, as well as he did. We started ALA without money or a benefactor. ALA came to be after several years because we became willing to and able to ask. We were willing to share with those who came through our lives our aspirations for this place, just as Emmanuel shared his own aspirations for books and learning. Share good ideas, get great ideas. So many people make the mistake of only wanting to share an idea when it is perfectly formed. But as with the exchange between Emmanuel and Suhail, sharing an idea generates new ones from others. They're able to build on your own. You rapidly create game-changing solutions that improve the circumstances of everyone. We've had a lot of initial ideas at ALA that were simply not very good. But by sharing those with others, with students, faculty, supporters, they became great ideas. You can't reap from worrying. How I wish I was as good at this as our dear Emmanuel. I've wasted so much nervous energy worrying about things that were outside of my control. I hope that those who are not on mute can put themselves on mute. Thank you. I've spent so much time, wasted so much nervous energy worrying about things that were outside my control, especially in our early years. You cannot reap from worrying. Ever since I heard this from Emmanuel, it struck me that one of the things that makes Fred Swaniker such an extraordinary entrepreneur is his mastery of this simple idea. Practice. The only way to master a skill is to practice it, to deliberately practice it, to put oneself through the pain of failure. I've learned to lead, however imperfectly, through practice. I've learned to manage our finances through practice. I've learned to pitch and to sell through practice. I've learned to think through practice. But that practice is powered by reflection. Looking in the mirror at your failures is painful, but it's the most important way in which we grow. I've been called names. I've been misunderstood. I've been told that I should resign. Ultimately, those experiences and the reflection on those experiences have helped me get better. Money is a tool. For individuals and organizations, money is not an end. It's a means. It's a tool for impact on individuals and societies. It's a tool that's earned through building something so great for others that they want to buy them. Building things so great that others want to be a part of them. It's a tool that's sharpened through its deployment in ways that create meaning. Tough times make tough minds. We've been through some challenging times. The early days, the middle years, recently, individually, collectively. We're at our best when we recognize those tough times in the moment and how they will make us better. I think about last year's graduating class and learning just hours before graduation that their graduation would be remote. Tough times made tough minds. Today, Emmanuel Manirakiza is buried on a humble grave on a hillside in Rwanda. His name on a small wooden cross is slowly wearing away, but his spirit and his lessons live forever. Do not let the world define how far you can travel and how much you can achieve. The speed at which you run is set by the speedometer of your mind. Thank you very much.